everyone. This is Chris Lashavo with Remax Heritage Professionals, formerly of I Think Realty. And we are once again at the end of another month here at the end of March 2023. That means our stats through the end of February are available. So let's jump into the numbers for Polk County, Florida. This is our housing market update. So for February 2023, there were 1,165 closed sales. That's compared to 1,331 a year ago. That's a decrease of 12.5%. So again, that seems to follow with the national narrative that the housing market is slowing. And we're definitely seeing a slowdown there as far as closed sales go. Cash sales as a percentage of closed sales, 25.7% of all sales were cash sales compared to 32.3% a year ago. That's a decrease of 20.4%. Median sales price, $315,000 compared to $310,000 a year ago. It's actually an increase of prices of 1.6%. So prices actually remained relatively stable from a year ago. But the talk of a housing market crash where people lose all their equity and housing prices tumble, at least in our area, does not seem to be accurate. We can talk a little bit later about why that is. Average sales price, $321,353 compared to $319,070, an increase of 0.7%. So again, pretty stable as far as average and median sales price. Median percent of original list price, sellers are receiving 95.3% of list price compared to 100% a year ago, a decrease of 4.7%. So there's still, we're not seeing the bidding wars and the multiple offers, although I'm starting to see that come back a little bit as we get into the spring buying season. But I think more and more sellers are still thinking we're in last year's market, so they're overpricing the home a lot, which is why they're not getting their list price. But they are still receiving 95% of list price. Median time to contract, 46 days compared to 9 days a year ago. So that's an increase of 411.1%. So obviously those numbers suggest it's definitely taken a lot longer to sell a home from the moment you put it on the market. Basically a month and a half. And so that's a significant change from a year ago, which means as a buyer, you have a little more time to find the home. Median time to sale, 97 days compared to 52 days a year ago, an increase of 86.5%. New pending sales, 1,442 compared to 1,485, a decrease of 2.9%, so nothing too significant there. New listings, 1,418 compared to 1,618. That's a decrease of 12.4%. So not seeing the increase of inventory that many would be hoping for, and that would bring home prices down. And so that's really tying into the median and average sales price in terms of the number of new listings and how it's impacting home prices. Pending inventory, 2,117 compared to 2,408, a decrease of 12.1%. Active inventory, 3,366 compared to 1,279, an increase of 163.2%. We've talked about this in recent months. That is largely due to homes staying on the market longer. As we just said, new listings are actually down. So the increase in inventory is not because there's more new listings, it's because the listings we have are staying on the market longer. And then finally, month supply of inventory, we have 2.5 months supply of inventory compared to 0.9 months a year ago, an increase of 177.8%. So some are going to try to tell you we're in a buyer's market. We're not in a buyer's market. We're still in a seller's market. We're just not in as extreme a seller's market as we were a year ago. But we would need to be at 6 months to even be at a balanced market. So if you'll tune in, we'll talk a little bit more about what all this means and what we see happening in the foreseeable future. So as we just talked about, we're seeing sales slow. We are seeing home prices steady over last year. So they're not necessarily dropping as some would believe. Now in some areas of the country, I think they are dropping a lot more than they are here in Florida. But we have a lot of things going for us here in Florida in terms of the number of people who want to move here. It's still the number one destination that people want to move to for a variety of reasons. And for that reason, we still don't have the inventory to support that demand. And as long as that's the case, you're not going to see home prices tank, i.e. a housing market crash. Housing prices are impacted by supply and demand just as everything else is. And we're just short the number of homes we need for the amount of people moving to the area. And so as long as that's the case, we're going to see home prices at worst stabilize. I actually think come once we get into the spring and summer hot home buying season, we're probably going to see home prices start to go up again, especially if mortgage rates actually continue to go down. They have gone down here in the last week as a result of the banking crisis. And so I think that as mortgage rates start to drop, we're going to see home prices increase because demand's going to increase. And we already don't have enough supply to meet the current level of demand. So what's going to happen when demand increases? Home prices are going to go up is the only thing they can do. There is a lot of new construction in the area, but it just can't happen fast enough to offset the demand that we currently have. So if I were a buyer sitting on the fence right now, maybe I'm waiting because mortgage rates are higher than I'm comfortable with. I think that you're probably making a bit of a mistake because this is probably the lowest home prices are going to be for at least the near future. So unless you can wait several years or unless something really drastic happens somewhere, I think you're looking at home prices going to go up. And you're going to see a return of the bidding wars and the multiple offers again. And I know a lot of people ran away from the housing market because they just couldn't deal with that. It was a very challenging market for buyers because you had to drop everything at a moment's notice to go see a home, and then you had to make a very quick decision and didn't have time to think through whether that really was the right home for you. You had to waive all kinds of contingencies. That's just not an ideal housing market for a buyer. And I think we might be heading back in that direction. Probably not in as extreme way as we were 2 years ago, but I think you're going to start to see more of that, especially for well-updated homes in some of the more popular communities. So if you want to avoid that, then bite the bullet, deal with what the interest rates are now, and then in a year or two when interest rates drop, you can refinance. Then you're still in your home at a better price, and now you've got your better mortgage interest rate. I really think that's the strategy if you're looking for a home for yourself to live in full time. And even if you're looking for a second or vacation home here in Florida, you've got your home in New York, Michigan, Indiana, where it's freezing cold or whatever. You're tired of bomb cyclones and snowstorms in mid-March. I don't blame you for that. You want to have a home you can come to when the weather's horrible up north like that. I think it makes sense to still look and buy now, and then again, refinance in a year or two when mortgage rates go down and the mortgage rate is more favorable to you. At least then you're not financing at the higher price that I think we're going to see here starting in the next few months. Now, if you're looking at you're purchasing housing or real estate as an investment strategy, I think that things are a little bit different. And so then you've got to sort of think about that a little bit differently moving forward. Anyway, I hope this information that I provided to you is helpful. If I can help you at all in the future, please reach out to me at Chris, Remax Heritage Professionals, 863-280-2201. Thank you very much. Have a great day.